In a world still shaping itself, before the great predators and colossal herbivores of the Jurassic, there existed creatures so small and humble they seemed insignificant. But beneath this quiet exterior, something revolutionary was happening. Dinosaurs were beginning to take shape. And yet the story of the first dinosaurs is a tale of patience, of small steps leading to a giant leap. How did the small reptilian creatures that had ruled the Earth for millions of years evolve into the massive beasts that we know today? The Triassic period, a time when the Earth was beginning to take a shape familiar to us. About 250 million years ago, following the greatest mass extinction the world had ever known, life on Earth was just beginning to rebuild. The devastation of the Permian-Triassic event had wiped out nearly 95% of all life. Earth's ecosystems were unrecognizable, yet from these ashes, life began anew. New species began to evolve and take hold of the world, and among them were the first dinosaurs. As the Earth's surface shifted, large portions of the landmass came together to form a supercontinent known as Pangaea. The climate was warm and arid, but it was also teeming with new species. It was in this unforgiving environment that the first true dinosaurs began to rise from the shadows of ancient reptiles. One of these early pioneers was the Nyasasaurus, a creature that lived in what we now know as Tanzania. The Nyasasaurus, while small by later dinosaur standards, holds an extraordinary place in history. Though its fossils were first discovered in the 1930s, it was not until much later that its importance would come to light. This small dinosaur was part of the first wave of dinosaurs to emerge, a group that would eventually dominate the Earth for millions of years. But to truly understand its place in history, we must delve into its evolution. The Nyasasaurus was an agile, small creature only about 10 feet long, with a long tail and legs. Its frame was light, built for speed and agility. A creature that would have scurried through the underbrush, blending into the dense foliage of the time. While we can only imagine what it looked like, scientists believe that the Nyasasaurus walked on two legs. Like many other early dinosaurs, this bipedal stance was a crucial adaptation, setting the Nyasasaurus apart from many of the reptiles that had come before. It's this posture, combined with its agility, that made it a true dinosaur distinct from other reptilian creatures of the time. But what made the Nyasasaurus so special? It wasn't just its legs or tail, it was its place in time. The Nyasasaurus wasn't just another reptile. It was part of a greater transformation, one that would lead to the giant predators and herbivores that would follow. This was a new era, a time when life on Earth was changing, and small creatures like the Nyasasaurus were leading the charge. They were laying the groundwork for a new type of life. But why did these small, nimble creatures survive when so many others did not? To understand the Nyasasaurus fully, we must go deeper. What set it apart from earlier reptiles was not just its size, but its adaptability. The Triassic period was harsh, with fluctuating climates, competition for food, and the ever-present threat of predators. Yet the Nyasasaurus thrived. This small creature had to adapt to its surroundings, and that meant becoming faster, more agile and more efficient at hunting or avoiding predators. It was a survivor in a world that was constantly in flux, adapting to the challenges of a changing Earth. Its evolution was not just a reaction to its environment, but a precursor to the grander changes that would define the Mesozoic era. As we explore the evolutionary history of dinosaurs, it's clear that the Nyasasaurus was not a solitary figure in the story of life on Earth. It was part of a larger evolutionary experiment, a puzzle piece that helped scientists understand the origins of dinosaurs. Nyasasaurus is considered one of the earliest known dinosaurs because it shares key characteristics with later, larger species. Its upright posture, for instance, would be an important development for the dinosaurs that followed. This adaptation would allow future dinosaurs to run faster, hunt more efficiently, and dominate ecosystems around the world. But there is still much mystery surrounding the Nyasasaurus. It's possible that this early dinosaur evolved in isolation, adapting to its specific environment in ways we may never fully understand. It's also possible that other species shared similar traits, but we have yet to uncover their fossils. While many paleontologists now accept the Nyasasaurus as one of the earliest known dinosaurs, there is still debate in the scientific community. Was it truly a dinosaur? Or did it belong to an earlier group of reptiles that eventually gave rise to the dinosaur lineage? Some scientists argue that Nyasasaurus is a proto-dinosaur, a creature that shared many characteristics with dinosaurs but did not fully belong to the group. Regardless of where it falls in the classification debate, one thing is certain: the Nyasasaurus was a trailblazer. It lived during a time when the Earth was still recovering from the Permian extinction, and it played a key role in the evolutionary shift that would eventually lead to the great dinosaurs that followed. Yet the Nyasasaurus did not live in a vacuum. It was part of a world filled with competition, danger, and dramatic environmental shifts. The Triassic period was a time of constant change, and the Nyasasaurus had to contend with various predators, other emerging species, and a rapidly changing climate. For a creature as small and delicate as Nyasasaurus, survival was no easy feat, but somehow it managed to survive. How? Could it have been the environment that shaped it? Or was there something special about its biology that allowed it to thrive where others failed? The world of the Triassic was not kind to the weak. It was a time of transformation where creatures either adapted or perished. And for the Nyasasaurus, its survival marked the beginning of an incredible evolutionary journey. Yet the fossil record is incomplete. Though we have some fossil evidence of the Nyasasaurus, much of its story is still hidden beneath layers of rock and time. It's possible that the key to understanding its true role in the rise of the dinosaurs still lies buried somewhere in the earth, waiting to be discovered. The Nyasasaurus wasn't just a fleeting species, it was a crucial stepping stone. It held the potential to become something greater, to evolve into the giants of the Mesozoic era. But in many ways, its evolution represents an era in which every species was still finding its place in the world. In the vast, unfamiliar landscapes of the Triassic, life was in constant flux. The Earth was still reeling from the aftermath of the Permian-Triassic extinction. And the organisms that survived were those that were most adaptable, most innovative. It was a time of experimentation where each evolutionary leap seemed like a desperate bid for survival. And so, the Nyasasaurus was born into a world of opportunity and uncertainty. It was a creature that existed on the cusp of a major evolutionary shift. This was the dawn of the dinosaurs, and although the Nyasasaurus would remain small and relatively humble, it had laid the foundation for something much bigger. But the Nyasasaurus's place in history is a reminder that every major evolutionary development is built on a history of trial and error. Every great species that followed had predecessors, often smaller and less spectacular, who made it possible for the giants to rise. The Nyasasaurus was one such precursor, an early experiment in the evolution of the dinosaurs that would take center stage millions of years later. The concept of the first dinosaur is a tricky one. While Nyasasaurus is one of the earliest candidates, it's far from the only one. There were other reptiles that shared traits with the dinosaurs but were perhaps slightly too different to be classified as true dinosaurs. The lines between what we define as a dinosaur and what we consider a reptile ancestor are often blurred, yet the Nyasasaurus stands out because of the timing of its existence. It appeared right at the beginning of the Triassic, when the world was in transition and life was once again starting to evolve into forms that would dominate the Earth. And though it might seem small and insignificant compared to later larger species, its legacy is enormous. The fossils of Nyasasaurus are not just the remnants of a single creature, they are a window into a lost world. Through them, we get a glimpse of what life on Earth was like in those early days of the Mesozoic era. They provide us with clues about how the first true dinosaurs might have lived and what the conditions were that allowed them to thrive. But why is it so important to study these early dinosaurs? Why focus on a species like the Nyasasaurus? The answer lies in understanding the process of evolution itself. We often focus on the more famous dinosaurs, the towering Tyrannosaurus rex, the massive Brachiosaurus, and the fearsome Velociraptor. But what is often overlooked are the small, humble beginnings from which these creatures emerged. The Nyasasaurus, in its simplicity and early evolutionary development, provides a key to understanding how all the later, larger species evolved. In many ways, the story of Nyasasaurus is the story of the gradual progression that led to the Age of Giants. And although this small dinosaur lived millions of years ago, its impact can still be seen today in the way we understand the history of life on Earth. Imagine a time when the Earth was ruled by creatures that were only just beginning to evolve into what we would recognize as dinosaurs. The Nyasasaurus was part of this incredible transformative process. It wasn't just a spectator in the early Triassic world, it was a key player in the development of life as we know it. As we study these early dinosaurs, we begin to see the intricate steps of evolution unfold before our eyes. Every characteristic, from the Nyasasaurus's upright posture to its agility, was a step that helped shape the future of dinosaurs. And while it might have been small and relatively unremarkable compared to the giants that would follow, it still played a crucial role in the larger narrative of Earth's history. But what did the world of the Nyasasaurus look like? What did this early dinosaur experience? The landscapes of the Triassic were vastly different from the ones we know today. Vast deserts, volcanic activity, and rapidly changing climates all played a part in shaping the evolution of life during this period. The Nyasasaurus would have lived in a world where vegetation was sparse, and the air was thick with dust and ash from volcanic eruptions. Despite these harsh conditions, life was resilient, and creatures like Nyasasaurus, small but swift, were able to carve out a niche in this unpredictable environment. The world was a vast open expanse of rocky plains and shallow seas. The skies were filled with early flying reptiles, and the ground was teeming with early ancestors of modern amphibians and reptiles. It was a world in flux, with constant shifts in climate and geography that created opportunities for life to evolve in new and unexpected ways. And amidst this, the Nyasasaurus thrived. It wasn't a towering predator or a massive herbivore, it was something entirely different. A small, agile predator that was part of a world that was just beginning to take shape. As we move through time, we begin to realize that every discovery, every fossil opens up new questions. What could have happened to the Nyasasaurus that we have yet to uncover? What mysteries still lie hidden beneath the layers of rock and time? Each new discovery, whether it's a fossil or a new piece of research, adds to our understanding of the ancient world, and perhaps, just as the Nyasasaurus was the precursor to the great dinosaurs of the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, the new discoveries we make today will help us better understand the distant past and our place in the long timeline of life on Earth. As we dig deeper into the fossil record, new surprises continue to emerge. The more we study early dinosaurs like Nyasasaurus, the more we realize just how much we still don't know. Could there have been other creatures before Nyasasaurus that were even closer to what we define as dinosaurs today? Could there have been other lineages of early dinosaurs that we have yet to discover? The field of paleontology is constantly evolving, just like the creatures it studies. Every new discovery opens new doors to questions that we might never have even thought to ask. Perhaps in the future another fossil will be unearthed, pushing back the timeline for the emergence of dinosaurs even further. After all, life doesn't always follow a simple linear path. Evolution is complex, and its story is filled with twists and turns. What makes the Nyasasaurus so fascinating isn't just its place in the evolutionary tree, but the mystery it represents. Imagine a world where dinosaurs were still in their infancy, where the creatures that would come to dominate the planet were no more than small, fragile species. The Nyasasaurus was there at the dawn of this new world, navigating a rapidly changing environment where the rules of survival were constantly shifting. As we attempt to piece together the history of early life on Earth, it's important to remember that there are gaps in our knowledge. We may never know everything about the Nyasasaurus, its daily life, its habits, or even the exact reasons it survived when others did not. But what we do know is that it was a key moment in the story of life on Earth. The age of dinosaurs, from the early Triassic to the end of the Cretaceous, was a time of incredible diversity and transformation. For over 180 million years, dinosaurs ruled the Earth in a variety of forms, from the tiny and agile to the massive and fearsome. But the story of their rise begins with the small, unassuming creatures like the Nyasasaurus. These early dinosaurs set the stage for the grandeur of the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, but their legacy is often overlooked in favor of the more famous, larger species. This small early dinosaur, once just a fragment of history, now serves as a bridge to the distant past, a key to understanding the early days of life on Earth. The Nyasasaurus, as humble as it may have been, was one of the first true dinosaurs to walk the Earth, and without it, the world of giants that followed may not have come to pass. As we reflect on the Nyasasaurus, we are reminded that every great species, every massive creature that dominated the Earth in its time, had its origins in creatures much smaller, much less remarkable. The giants of the Mesozoic era didn't emerge in an instant. They were built on millions of years of evolution, each step leading to the next. And it all began with creatures like the Nyasasaurus. This small, agile dinosaur paved the way for the great predators and herbivores that would follow. Its adaptations, its survival, and its place in time were the building blocks of the dinosaur age. In many ways, the Nyasasaurus is a testament to the power of small beginnings. It shows us that sometimes the greatest changes in history come from the most unassuming of origins. As we draw this journey to a close, we pause to reflect on the significance of the Nyasasaurus. This early dinosaur, small as it was, represents more than just an ancient species. It represents the beginning of the age of dinosaurs. The story of Nyasasaurus is a story of survival, of adaptation, and of the slow but steady march toward the dominance of the dinosaurs that we know and love. In a world that was constantly changing, the Nyasasaurus adapted, survived, and helped set the stage for the future. And though its time on Earth was brief in the grand timeline of life, its impact was far-reaching. Without it, the world of massive dinosaurs might never have come to be. As we stand here today reflecting on the past, we are reminded that the story of life on Earth is a long one, a story filled with mysteries, surprises, and moments of incredible transformation. The Nyasasaurus is just one small chapter in this story, but it is a crucial one. It reminds us that every moment in history, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, plays a part in shaping the world that follows. The Nyasasaurus, with its small body and humble existence, was a pioneer, an early experiment in the evolutionary process that would one day lead to the giants that roamed the Earth. And through the study of its fossils, we gain insight into the early days of the dinosaurs, into a world that no longer exists but lives on through the remnants of those who once walked it. So as we gaze up at the towering giants of the dinosaur world, the Tyrannosaurus rex, the Brachiosaurus, the Triceratops, let us not forget the quiet beginnings of their story. Let us remember the Nyasasaurus, the small, agile precursor that helped shape the course of life on Earth. It may not have been the largest, the fiercest, or the most well-known, but it was a crucial part of the grand evolutionary narrative that unfolded over millions of years. In every story of greatness, there is a beginning, small, humble, and unassuming. And the Nyasasaurus, though it might have seemed insignificant in its time, played a monumental role in the history of life on Earth. In the end, the story of the Nyasasaurus is a reminder of the power of small beginnings. It is a testament to the resilience of life, the adaptability of species, and the uncharted territories of evolution. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the past, we gain a greater appreciation for the fragile moments in history that ultimately shape our world. The age of dinosaurs began with creatures like the Nyasasaurus, and through their survival, adaptation, and evolution, the world we know today was shaped. And as we look to the future, perhaps we too can learn from the Nyasasaurus how small steps taken over time can change the world.